All right, so we are here with Dan Jurgens and Brian Azzarello. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. We're here to talk Future's End. So I guess we've only got a few minutes here, so let's start at the beginning. Where did Future's End come from?
Dan DiDio had been talking to us about putting together a weekly comic book somehow, and what could it be, and what would it be, and everything. And you were the one who said 5 years in the future, right?
He called me. Dan called me at 6:30 on a Saturday morning.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how I got involved in all this.
Okay.
And he told me what he wanted to do and what he was trying to do with the weekly. This is really before I was involved in it. And I said, well, why don't you just do this? So I said he wanted to comment on the state of the universe, but he wanted to use the past to do it. And I said, you really can't do that, Dan. It's like that doesn't make sense. It's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So we can comment on a certain period in time afterwards. So so maybe what you should be thinking about is going back in time, not going forward in time.
So did you begin with Batman Beyond and work backwards, or how did he come into play?
He came into play when I suggested he would be a good vehicle from the future to come back in time, rather than some of these other characters. It's like, why take... There are certain characters that travel through time that are you could use, but it's like, you know what? You haven't even used this character yet in 52. It's like, this would be good.
Right.
Did you jump on board because you thought time travel, that means Booster Gold, so I've got
No, at that time, we never even... It's funny, we never even talked about Booster Gold through anything. I mean, it really was... Brian had suggested Batman Beyond at some point. We said, well, he's farther away than five years from now. That's 35 years. And we started to put the story together sort of based around that general idea. And through all of it, Booster was never a part of the conversation for a long, long time.
Are you excited to bring Booster back into the fold?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is... there's always something that's kind of fun when you've had a character put aside for a while to be able to find a way to bring them into a story and do something. So, he has a book coming out in September, one of the 5 year later books when all the DC characters get to tell their stories of, where are they now as opposed to what we think of as 5 years before. So, yeah, it's fun to be able to have that chance.
There's a lot of love for that character.
Yeah, there is.
Oh,
I'm surprised.
I really enjoy it.
Well, when it's the single greatest character DC has.
Well, you must be proud of a creation like that and to see it come and go, but it still lives. It still exists in the DC universe.
Yeah. It's always fun.
So have you been given pretty much free reign since you're in the future? You can pretty much do whatever you want, or are there certain things that they've slapped you on the hand? And
no, anything free reign would be, I think, careless in some ways. That anything we do 5 years from now has to make sense with where these characters are today. Yeah. I mean, you can't just be totally divorced from what the DC or the DCU 5 years from now can't be totally divorced from what it is today. There has to be a connection there, both in terms of characters, in terms of what they've done, and everything else. It has to be logical for them to get to that point.
So this isn't necessarily an alternate future. This is actually the existing future of the DC universe, so it does have a lot of weight as far as the validity of what's going to happen.
That's certainly how we need to think of it. And we decided that early on, that we weren't going to think of this as an alternate future, that it was going to be, for us, this has to be the place. And we have to think of it that way, and we have to treat it that way, because that's the only way we can get readers.
I was going to say, to add weight to the readers, I think that's critical.
Right.
That was like the first question that came to my mind is, all right, is this just going to pass over after the arc's over, or is it
It's not an Elseworlds.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
No, it's not an Elseworlds.
How does the collaboration process work? Is just everybody on speakerphone every day, Skyping back and forth?
No, but a lot.
At 6:30 in the morning?
In terms of the raw process of working, we have a call at least once a week where we do all get on and we talk out that particular issue and the character arcs and things like that. And then we'll, we have some massive email chains that go on just in terms of trying to deal with things that way. We all see what each other are doing. We know where we're all going for the most part. And it's just that eternal mission of trying to take these seemingly disparate characters and ideas and knitting them into a cohesive story that doesn't, fall off the track somewhere. And I think we've been pretty successful in that.
So far.
Yeah.
So you just kind of split it up. This person's going to handle these characters. This person's going to handle those.
For
characters.
now, but there will be natural handoff points where we are going to be handing characters off to each other, because we'll have someone who moves from a group of characters that, say, Jeff Lemire is writing and move into my realm of things, and then perhaps into Keith's or something like that. So we do have that sort of weaving effect going on with the characters and the story arcs.
I'm picturing this massive dry erase board with all of this laid out. I mean, how did you come to terms with? Because obviously you had to think way ahead of, how this was the whole story was gonna unfold, right? I mean, it's not like you're going, every few issues. I mean, sure, you've planned this out from beginning to end. For the most part.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we never deviated from it at all. No, the difficulty is, 47 issues is a tremendous amount of material. I mean, it's just, you start to think of the page count that entails, and it's a tremendous amount of material. And what has happened so many times, we thought we were going one place, for example, and we thought we were going to Miami, and then we decided we were going to New York instead, and we were going to take a plane.
Not that
and then, not a train. No, we weren't that scandal.
Austin.
Yeah, there you go.
We're on our way to Miami. So, hey, you know what? Austin, I hear Austin's nice.
Yeah. We were going to fly, but we'll rent a Winnebago instead, because we've always wanted to do that.
It's a little fluid.
Yeah, it is, and it keeps changing. And at the same time, we certainly got to a point where we have said, this is the end of the story. And now I think we're very secure in all the elements that are going to take us to that particular end.
Yeah.
Just doing it
Once we had a real satisfying ending, things fell into place backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
I think does doing it weekly change the way you tell the story, knowing that it's not going to be a month in between each issue?
Yes.
That you can expand things a little more and let them breathe a little more?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can play kind of fast and loose with exposition a little bit.
Exactly.
Because I don't have to rely on your memory.
Right. You don't have to reset the table as often, and at the same time, I think it gives us the luxury of delving into some character moments that if you were writing it at least me, if I was writing it as a monthly book, I would say, can I really make this work and get someone to still come back a month later and want to buy the book? But I can do it in my segment, because Brian is doing something with Batman Beyond that I know will bring them back the next week, kind of thing. So I think we all have some time to explore characters that way that we don't necessarily get in a month.
One last question before we wrap up. Since you were a big part of the Death of Superman, what are your thoughts with the Doomed storyline of the New 52?
I know shockingly little about it because I go out of my way not to ask. I know what we did, and what we did worked, and I know how it worked, and I wish them all luck, but I go out of my way not to ask. It's their story now.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, my pleasure.